Well, unsurprisingly, it's being reported now that Jussie Smollett has no plans to meet with Chicago police. Why would that be surprising? That Jussie Smollett is no longer considering cooperating with the police. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of conservatives pushing this story. I also want to talk about Good Morning America and the media, how the media ran with this. But let's be fair. First of all, Jussie Smollett should meet with the police. Absolutely. If he's saying his story is true and he wants justice, he wants the people who attacked him brought to justice, then he should go and talk to the police. I see why, come on. Cooperate, right? But there's a few things I should point out. First of all, there's a good reason for him not to meet with the police. Even if you're a victim, okay, and the police, and you want justice and you know what you're saying is true, when the police are now saying you're no longer a victim, yes, it would be wise not to meet with them and to confer with your lawyers. And I'm sure his lawyers said, don't do it. So it doesn't necessarily mean he's lying. It just means he has good lawyers. And the other thing too here, so let's read the story. Jussie Smollett is not scheduled to meet with investigators today about the assault he reported last month, representatives for the Empire Star said in a statement on Monday. There are no plans for Jussie Smollett to meet with Chicago police today, Smollett's attorney Todd S. Pugh and Victor P. Henderson said. Any news reports suggesting otherwise are inaccurate. Smollett's attorneys will keep an active dialogue going with Chicago police on his behalf. Nuance is important. There's a lot of people pushing this around, conservatives mainly saying like, oh, this proves it. Well, hold on. Like I mentioned, there's good reason for him not to go to the police, but also keyword today, right? They're saying today, and they're also saying they're going to keep an active dialogue with police on his behalf. The statement comes just days after two potential suspects in the case were brought in for questioning and released without charges. A CNN report on Saturday citing two unnamed law enforcement sources said investigators believe Smollett may have paid the two men, Nigerian brothers with a professional connection to Smollett, to orchestrate the attack. According to the report, the men were released after agreeing to cooperate with investigators. Smollett's lawyers have denied that the reported attack was a hoax, saying anyone claiming otherwise is lying. A police spokesperson later said the department was not in a position to confirm, deny, or comment on the validity of what's been unofficially released. He did, however, indicate that there has been developments since the suspects were first taken in for questioning last week and said police were seeking to re-interview Smollett. Now let's analyze a bit about what the police are doing. The police have absolutely denied reporting. After it came out from ABC Chicago that they believe there's police sources say it's a hoax, Anthony Guglielmi came out and said, this is not true. They're uninformed. They're wrong. That's what he said. Definitively, they're wrong. Okay, they're uninformed. Now what's he saying? Now that the narrative has changed, CNN, CBS, and all these other outlets are saying, basically, sources are saying these guys were paid. Now he's saying we can't confirm or deny. Ah, interesting. What's changed? He could deny before, he can't deny now. Okay? Now there's reasons why he can't confirm. He has to get a conviction. As to whether or not they're going to be investigating Smollett, he can't confirm because it could jeopardize the investigation. But he could deny before and he can't deny now? Makes me think. A police spokesperson later said the department was not... I read that. Smollett was hospitalized, yada, 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 shouted MAGA. According to police statement after the incident, the actor said he was battered about his face. Okay, so we know all this stuff. But now there's a bigger question. Why did so many in the media, and this is kind of an addendum to my video earlier today, why did so many people in the media just push the narrative? Why is Brian Stelter of CNN trying to claim that they didn't? Why is Liz Plank trying to claim they didn't? Well, Liz Plank is an activist. She works for Vox. They're a left-wing outlet. They have an agenda. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm just saying they are of a political leaning. They hire people who think like them. We know this. But Brian Stelter works for CNN, which, yes, is a partisan outlet, but he's supposed to be a bit better. Brian Stelter's claiming that journalists did the reporting right. It's just not true. And if you watched my video before this, if you watched my video earlier today, you know it's not true. You know there's a huge list of journalists who were pumping out definitive statements about what happened to Jussie Smollett. But more importantly, Good Morning America. Why is it that Good Morning America gave him a platform to just say whatever he wanted without question, without contradiction? Why is that? They simply empowered this hoax. Well, let's read it. Good Morning America host Robin Roberts breaks silence on Jussie Smollett interview. ABC's Good Morning America co-host Robin Roberts opened up about her interview with Empire actor Jussie Smollett amid reports that Smollett concocted a hate crime. Last week, Roberts conducted an interview with Smollett on GMA, during which she was accused of being too soft in her questioning of Smollett. Roberts addressed her sit-down with Smollett on Monday's edition of GMA, saying she found his story credible. Why? so many people didn't find his story credible. Somebody made a really good point about, I don't know, who they were referring to Alyssa Milano. Alyssa Milano tweeted that, if this is a hoax, like how dare he and things of that nature. And someone tweeted, you need to take a step back and ask yourself why you keep falling for these hoaxes. Why do you keep falling for fake news? Why did a Good Morning America co-host believe this story was credible when many people didn't? It's reported the police didn't think it was credible. I know for a fact sources I have in left-wing media did not find his story credible. You'll find many people were tepid on their reporting, even among the left. But this outlet, GMA, ABC, they thought it was credible enough to just let him sit down and say whatever he wanted. That's incredible to me. Quote, when I sat down with Jussie, it was Tuesday night in Chicago. At the time to give his first account, publicly give his first account of what he said happened. No, I think it was more about the ratings. They wanted to put up this, celebrity. I'm using air quotes. You can't see him. Robert said, and we have to remember at the time on Tuesday, police officers were saying that his account was consistent, it was credible, and that he was being cooperative. This was all before the interview aired on Thursday, and then we found out about the brothers. But the story was still absurd. Okay, the story was still absurd. I think in like one of the first videos I made, it was like, listen, it's possibly a hoax. We'll say that for now, but we're not going to accuse anybody of anything. They straight up said like, oh, poor you. Let's give you an interview, allow you to say whatever you want. He goes on stage and says, I fought back. No, you didn't. Okay, I don't know what happened. I don't want to act like I do. But what do we know? Well, it's been widely reported at this point, and I think it's fair to say, okay, my question is, at what point do we say this is definitively a hoax? I think we can say that it is a hoax. Why? CNN, CBS, ABC, Fox Local, all of these outlets have come out with information from police and media sources saying these things are happening. And at what point can you say it's definitive? I don't know. But I think when it comes to public participation, talking about public figures, we have enough evidence to say at this point, I'm calling it, okay? 99.99% of the way there. The only thing we don't have is him confessing. But I'll tell you what, when police sources to mainstream media outlets, numerous ones, even CNN, are saying, we believe this to be a hoax, we believe he did this, when the two guys were arrested on battery, okay, then they were released, we've got more than enough evidence to say it's likely the case. In the interview with Roberts that aired last Saturday, Smollett stridently defended his story while criticizing his doubters. He also continued to insinuate that supporters of President Donald Trump were responsible for his attack, which is now believed to be a hoax. I come really, really hard against 45, Smollett said, when asked by Roberts why he was targeted. I come really, really hard against his administration, and I don't hold my tongue. In the days following the interview, reports have emerged from the Chicago Police Department stating that they have reason to believe the actor paid two Nigerian brothers, who were also actors on Empire, to help stage the attack. Smollett and his lawyers continue to deny reports that he staged the encounter and are sticking with their account of the events. But there's another important detail that's been reported by a lot of outlets. Apparently, there's a couple things. Apparently, when Smollett was returning to the area with police, he pointed to a camera and said something like, oh, hey, look, a camera. Great, you've got it on camera. And the cop says, pointing the other direction. So in this GMA interview, he says, how is it my fault the camera wasn't filming it? Well, apparently the police they found it suspect that he knew where the camera was, that the attack just so happened to occur near a camera. And I guess it leads people to believe that he orchestrated this. There's also reports that he rehearsed the hate crime with the two brothers. So apparently he knew where the camera was. He was in the right place, the right time, he thought, but then the camera didn't actually film it. Then you have the curious case of the New York Post finding a Tabasco bottle that smelled like bleach 2 weeks later. And the police found that to be suspect. You then had the woman, his neighbor, claiming she saw a white man carrying a rope or a clothesline or something to that effect. And the police then said that doesn't match the description of what Jussie Smollett said. Here's what I think happened. The police it's been reported by some outlets that the police already had the phone records from his phone, okay? Meaning they knew who he was talking to. He claimed that he was on the phone with his manager at the time. Well, the police know whether or not he wasn't. It's been reported that he provided redacted phone records to the police, and they just compared the records they had with the redacted one and then knew what numbers to seek out. And it was the two brothers. He got a letter in the mail where it was threatening him. And then the police found magazines at the two brothers' apartment, which they're now investigating may be related. So I think if I was gonna do a timeline of what happened, I'd say the dude, He orchestrated the whole thing. He's been playing it for a long time. Why? I don't know. Because victimhood is power. Because he got an interview on Good Morning America. It increased his profile. He got sympathy. Ellen Page was able to, go up and scream. As we saw from the Washington Post earlier, if you saw my videos on it, they need this to be true. That's what the op-ed said. That the op-ed said, I need this to be true. That explains their mentality better than anything. It's why we see so many hoaxes. Because maybe it's not true. Maybe there's just some fringe wackos who commit atrocious acts and it sucks. And maybe it's not true that all Trump supporters are insane, racist, murderous psychopaths. But they need it to be true. They need to justify their position. They need to prove. They need to recruit. They need to be able to go to normies, people who don't follow politics, and say, it's true. Look at Jussie Smollett. They need to go on Stephen Colbert to 18 million people, how many views it got, and say, this needs to stop. Look what happened to Jussie Smollett. They need it. Because without it, they don't have the ammunition to recruit for their ideology. Because they're crazy, plain and simple. I got one more video coming up in just a few minutes. Stick around.